Good morning, everyone. Thanks ever so much for attending. I'm going to kick straight into the webinar. Today's topic is 5 expert insights to optimize your paid search ROI. Just a quick rundown of the order. We're thinking this will be 20 to 30 minutes. I'll just do a quick intro to myself and our guest speaker, Aina Nakonaka from Google. And we'll do a quick scene set. We'll run through our 5 insights, at which point I'll hand over to Aina and she'll be able to discuss some items direct from the horse's mouth from Google. We'll have a Q&A at the end as usual. This will just be in the form of the live chat that you can see on the right-hand side of your screen there. As we progress through the webinar, as usual, if you've got any questions, just ask them on the chat. If I see some commonalities, I can stop and just field those as they are, although we're likely to kind of cover most of the topics, I would imagine. And if not, we can just save them up for the end. Okay, so a quick intro for those who are not familiar. I'm Dan Kavanagh. I'm the MD at Ignition Search. We are a Sheffield-based internet marketing firm. The most relevant aspect for today is that we're also a premier Google partner. For those that don't know what that is, there's a handful of partners in the UK that have premier status and are therefore allocated into the senior content team over at Google, which is how we know Aina. This mainly is based on the fact that we tend to increase our client spend by giving a very rounded, focused service to our clients that helps them generate return on investment ultimately. So it means that we get access to a lot of alpha and beta elements. We get kind of first dibs on tests from Google, and also a lot of insights, which Aina will be talking about in the latter half of this webinar. So just a quick scene set as to where we are now, sort of COVID and post-COVID, although arguably we're still in the thick of it. I think what we can agree this year is that it has been absolutely unprecedented and very unpredictable times. A lot of the normal seasonality and key habits of how people are searching have changed quite dramatically. Almost you can tear up the rule book for this year, and that's not showing any signs of changing anytime soon. So it's even more critical that working smart with your Google Ads budget is absolutely critical at this moment. So the first kind of insight is to offer some advice on how to monitor and adapt to the trends that we're facing right now. Data, of course, should be driving all your decisions anyway when you're reading Google Ads. But as I've said, 2020 has been, not to put too fine a point on it, unpredictable so far. As I say, there's been lots of seasonality and normal trends that you can rely on are not occurring. So you need to look at the data that you've got in front of you, as well as thinking about the external factors that are affecting your ROI right now. We're ambassadors anyway, as some of you will know, of looking outside of the interface anyway. What is the human interaction that is going to help you gain a competitive advantage with your strategy. So just some of the insights that you can look at now that are actionable. This is even more important than ever to segment out campaigns and funnel budget toward areas that are providing the best returns. So one great example of this is we work for a firm that provides IT equipment and accessories. Obviously, searches for webcams have gone absolutely through the roof. Typically, all the webcams would be under one campaign. These might be broken out into brand or cost or type of use for webcam. Whereas at the moment, because of the trends that are happening due to COVID, people have changed their search habits for this particular product. So they're not interested really in spec. They're not as interested in cost. What they're interested in is, have you got one, and how soon can I get it? So we've had to segment out this campaign to funnel budget toward the items that are in stock, and sensibly then peg into the actual cost of the item. So a lot of the really expensive ones, stuff that's out of stock, items that might have a couple of weeks in terms of delivery, we're kind of excluding from the budget because they have become weaker performing areas. And of course, we've had to do that by looking at the data, and also then spending more time on items like ad copy. So we've been able to lean a bit further on Google's machine learning, so automated bidding, so that we're spending a bit more time on optimizing adverts, researching the market, looking at what competitors are doing, and less time, actually kind of manual bidding has been an absolutely key way to maximize the amount of time we're spending within the accounts. On the point about competitors, we've had to spend more time than ever kind of outside of the interface in the real world, researching what our competitors are bidding on. Are they doing sales? Are our clients still competing on price, for example? How regularly are they changing ad copy? Are they experimenting with landing pages? All the kind of stuff that you're just not going to get that information when you're in the AdWords interface itself. We've also seen a lot of our clients sort of pivoting in terms of what sort of options they have for a purchase. So one of the big items we've seen in the last 3 months is payment services like Klarna, i.e. The ability to spread payments as opposed to sort of one-off purchase, are becoming extremely popular as people have been less reliant on cash flow, maybe suffering from reduction in wages through furlough or whatever it might be. Is the visitors are looking for better options in order to complete these purchases, and the clients that are adapting to this and are ready to implement change and to experiment with this and to look outside the interface are the ones that have really come into the fore and really rode out a few of the challenges that we've had during this period. And we'd encourage you to do the same. So the second main item that we want to share with you is about split testing. Okay, it kind of sounds obvious, but it can be time consuming to do this properly. But experimenting with your PPC campaigns has got to be one of the essential items to continue to get the best return on investment over time from your projects. So set up experiments, test different strategies, different features. Bear in mind, we've got the kind of funnel approach, which I'm going to touch on in the next insight, but use the full suite of tools that are available to you and test different versions of your landing page, different versions of your ad copy. Again, look at what your competitors are using in their ad copy. How are you going to make your ad stand out? Adapt tone of voice and imagery for different audiences. Do they need to hear a more sympathetic type of ad copy? Is it more no nonsense? We've got it in stock, we can get it you in a day. What is it that is going to sing the right tune to your potential customer? Split testing different versions of the landing page we view is absolutely key. I've devoted our own section to it a bit later on, but that's really about squeezing as the highest conversion rate as possible out of your advertising efforts. So use a strategy of prospecting and marketing. As I was saying about the good old funnel of marketing, the top's wide, the bottom's narrow. Bring visitors in at the top of the funnel with sort of prospecting activity. Use remarketing to win the conversion a little later on. Bearing in mind that less than half of all visitors will complete a purchase on their first visit. Far more likely to get a purchase on the second, third, or fourth visit. remarketing is going to be absolutely key to getting that sale. So plan activity to target new users, raise brand awareness with the top of funnel, display advertising, some of the kind of short tail searches that identify someone at the start of their journey. Okay, these are really important, but you've got to have a remarketing strategy across all of your channels in order to get them on their subsequent visits. You know, anyone who's already interacted with your brand has a much higher sort of purchasing intent. Remarketing will drive these users back to your site to get that purchase over the line, and also use that opportunity to cross-sell perhaps into other additional or complementary products. Again, the landscape of that might have changed from the norm, you know, based on the changing patterns that we're seeing at the moment. So number 4 is refine and focus your targeting. Now, search on the whole is up, massively up during COVID. Aine is going to touch on some of these stats directly shortly. But the thing to bear in mind is that while search is up, the commercial intent behind these key phrases is very, very mixed. So we have to think a bit harder about targeting. A lot of the broad match search that we might be more traditionally used to is going to take a little bit more thinking about, because the expense of this might have gone up and the top of funnel might not be working as much. We can think about how to intentfully target these visitors when they're in buy mode, a bit of 11th hour marketing, identify them when they're at the back end of their particular buying journey. So you can drill down into more long tail searches, which generally reflect, you know, a higher intent behind that key phrase. Research-based searches have really gone through the roof. So an example of that is if someone's looking for, well, you know, how does this product work, a sort of more sort of FAQ type driven search. These are less likely to convert. Is there a value in pulling them in at the top of the funnel? Probably, but could certainly be done with a reduced budget, particularly as that is trending toward a higher volume of commercially intentful key phrases. That would be where, you know, I would be ploughing more of my budget sort of right into the coal face of the sale. Even on Facebook, you know, try layering your lookalike audiences and remarketing lists with interests and behaviors that convert well on your site. Again, you need to rigorously split test this targeting, experiment with your key phrases, go really granular on your campaigns. As I say, the webcam example is split out better performing products, give them their own campaign, give them their own budget, test your landing page environment, and inch that conversion rate forward. And there's no better time to plan. Okay, it's been, you know, reasonably common for advertisers to think a month ahead or maybe a quarter ahead. We've always championed, you know, a full 12-month activity program. I don't think there's any better time to do that than right now, even given the unpredictability of search at the moment. It'll just help you, if anything else, have that element of control that you've got a very sort of solid, methodical plan. This is going to, you know, put you in a better frame of mind in terms of, okay, well, at the very baseline each month, I know that this is what we're going to do. This is not to say that you can't adapt to sudden trends, sudden shifts in the market. Obviously, working with a premier partner is going to help with that. You'll be able to leverage industry insights and enjoy kind of factoring these in to budgeting and targeting. Again, Aine is going to explain a few of these items shortly. The big event, obviously, that's coming up is Black Friday. Is don't leave it to the last minute. We say this to our clients every year, but often it can be a bit on the back burner. The thought this year within retail is that Black Friday is going to be even more important than ever, even more competitive rather. What you have is generally more competition for a lot of e-commerce products, new players in the market springing up as they're pivoting or adapting their own businesses. It's going to be absolutely critical to get all this planned in well in advance. So just a sort of bonus tip before I hand over to Aina is reviewing landing page, reviewing the UX that you have on the pages in your site. These can have an absolutely dramatic impact on revenue if you can start to give a competitive advantage, if you can plug into the psyche of the visitor that's performed the search, if you can start to make your pages work harder to get your visitor over the line and into the purchase, you are going to reap the rewards of this. And the best place to start would be to look at your top 3 campaign landing pages right now and do a thorough UX review to improve conversion rate, and split test these pages against each other. So don't just dump the page that you're doing. Let's create a page or 2 and compare it against. So you want to pick your highest traffic page, or the one where you've got most products, the one that's getting most clicks, and start to make changes. Look at it quite clinically. Okay, first area you can look at is ensure that the page titles match the ad copy with really clear messaging. So it can improve quality score for one thing, but also makes it far more relevant to the visitor. So create a very clear and uncluttered layout. So possible steps to purchase. Now this might be 4 or 5 steps. It might be just 1 step. Again, being quite brutal with how you do this. It is really the way to do it correctly. Is address any typical objections, answer questions that can be a barrier to conversion. Do that early on. You know, if you've got a big hero image in your prime real estate, but the actual benefit of the product, which might be the fact they can have it delivered tomorrow, is way down the fold, then you're probably missing a trick. This is the time to kind of get out of your comfort zone and use the data to improve the results. Again, there's no better time to start pulling in social proofing and trust marks. If visitors are looking to make quick decisions, the more comfortable you can make them feel about your brand, particularly if they're not experienced with your brand already. It's through social proof, it's through reviews, it's trust marks, it's making sure that they're in a secure environment. You know, are you offering them a good spread of payment options, i.e. PayPal or Klarna? Are you pulling this through? I think JD Sports is a really terrific example of this right now. You've got multiple options of payment. Their conversion rates have inched forward by about 0.5%, which is massive, considering the volume of transactions that they push through. And it's by giving their potential buyer the options to buy. They're making it really easy for people to find the information about the product and to make the purchase. And they'll be testing continually to do this. So that's kind of our final insight. You know, the common themes throughout all this have been testing, refining, being extremely objective about your ads, about your landing page, and being, you know, clinical in terms of splitting out your campaigns and focusing on your best performing areas. Okay, I will at this point hand over to Aina. Again, I'll be back at the end for the Q&A, but thanks for listening so far, and over
Perfect.
to you.
Thanks, Dan. I hope everyone can hear me. Hi, everyone. My name is Aina. I'm an agency development manager at Google, so I'm based in Dublin. I have the absolute pleasure of working with Ignition Search and a number of agencies dotted around the UK, and I'm really delighted to be here speaking to you all. I really want to focus on the topic at hand, which is, I suppose, how to boost your PPC revenues, but with a particular look at the e-commerce vertical. So I'll be talking about how to firstly forecast shifts in consumer behavior, how to retain and expand your consumer base, and our Google automated shopping solution called Smart Shopping as well. So firstly, I want to share how you can use some of our Google resources to take action, recognize sudden shifts in consumer behavior, and meet demand when it appears with, as I said, a lens on e-com. And I think during this pandemic, it's fair to say we've seen a really rapid shift in consumer behavior and expectations when it comes to online shopping. And I really wanted to share some of these with you. So there are 3 trends that I wanted to pull out that are key to changes in consumer behavior during the pandemic. Trend number 1 has been a momentous surge in e-commerce. So we're seeing the emergence of new e-commerce consumer types, especially elderly people adopting digital at an unforeseen pace. And this is what we're calling the silver tech revolution. So I think what we need to be asking ourselves really is what does this mean for our typical consumer types? Is there potentially greater online demand for our product than before based on new demographics of people adapting to buying online? And trend number 2 has seen the emergence of new online habits. So with consumers staying at home more, there's definitely been a rise in demand for the likes of at-home gear or like tech or home office decor, searches like that. So again, we should really now be asking ourselves, how does our product or service fit in with this new type of at-home demand? And thirdly, the final trend here has shown a shift towards new media consumption. So by that I mean, during the pandemic, consumers have been discovering new media channels to learn from, and one of those in particular is YouTube. So we've actually seen a staggering 6.5 times increase in news-related UK watch time of YouTube. So people are really turning to YouTube for news, for information as a reliable source of insights into what's happening in the world. Again, this means that we need to be asking ourselves, how can I make sure that my brand is present across all media channels to reach the right user at the right time, not just on search, but there at every step of the customer journey. Cool. So I mentioned there, the importance of understanding online consumer shifts, and it's a vital part of being successful in your e-com strategies. So really, what I wanted to do here was compile a list of our top resources for marketers that can help you to really understand changing consumer behaviors. So firstly, I start with the most popular one, which is our Think with Google website. So this contains blogs and videos with info on how to deal with the pandemic, and it's really tailored to different markets and verticals. So you can definitely look at the UK-based Think with Google website, or if you have maybe business interests in the US, you could look at the US version. I also really rely heavily on Google Trends, and it is an extremely useful tool. So that's googletrends.com. With this tool, you can see top trending queries for different countries. And actually, we recently introduced a section for COVID trends where you can see rising queries relating to COVID. Kind of a weird one, but I remember a couple of weeks back when I checked in on this, the top COVID trend or query that was trending that day in the UK was, who is Gemma Collins in isolation with? So a lot of interested people wondering where Gemma Collins is and who she's with. You have access to similar insights and trends when you use YouTube Trends. So with this tool, you can actually see trending videos and rising queries across all categories. Super useful if you are an advertiser that's reliant on YouTube. Another important tool, and quite a new one really, is the Google Ads Opti Score. So this is actually a tool that's available in the interface of your Google Ads account. It's a percentage at the top of the page, and it also details a list of recommendations underneath on how your account can be best, how it can have best practices implemented. So this tool, as I said, is an account optimization score. It's visible as a percentage at the top of your Google Ads account. It really does take into account how well budget is being used, what keywords are missing, and a host of other really, really useful insights. And most importantly, again, as I said, it lists that all of the account recommendations that can potentially benefit the account. And finally, Google Alerts is a really, really great tool. It's one that's kind of underutilized in my opinion. What it is that it allows you to set up curated alerts for the topic or competitor of your choice that can come into your inbox either weekly or daily. So if I was an advertiser in a very, very competitive market, I would be setting up alerts for my top competition so that I can see how people are speaking about that competitor and what new information is coming to the fore. And lastly, on the trends front, another great tool is the Rising Retail Categories tool. So I suppose in response to changing consumer behavior during the COVID-19 pandemic, in fact, we launched a Rising Retail Categories tool on Think with Google, the blog that I mentioned before. So if you look up Think with Google, you should be able to find this tool in there. And this tool helps you to understand fast rising retail categories in Google search, the locations where they're growing and the queries associated with them. So the data will update daily to reflect changes in search interests. So it really is a vital tool for any e-com marketers. If I was an advertiser again, I would be looking at this every day, trying to understand if the product or service that I offer is a rising retail category, and then making changes to my account and speaking to my agency about how to make those changes based on increased interest. Perfect. So next I want to touch on ways you can actually retain and expand your consumer base to boost your return on ad spend. To begin, I think if we're looking to drive loyalty and retain consumers with a higher lifetime value for longer, we really need to be tracking and re-engaging recent purchasers and website visitors, and really anyone who has shown significant interest in our product or service. And the main way we can do that is through remarketing or remarketing lists for search ads. They let you customize your search ads campaigns for people who have actually previously visited your site and allow you to tailor your bids and ads to these visitors when they're searching on Google and search partner sites. So really, if we want to be successful in Google Ads, we really need to be hitting people who have already visited our website or have already shown interest in our product or service. Another type of targeting we can do is using our customer match lists. So this lets you use your online and offline data to reach and re-engage with your customers across search, shopping, Gmail, YouTube, and display. You might even want to layer, in some cases, similar audience targeting over these, which targets consumers who are similar to those on your customer match list. Really, really important audience types for anyone looking to drive loyalty, re-engage with recent purchasers, cancellations, FAQ visitors, etc. And if we're looking to expand our reach to target high-value consumers, we should always be looking at in-market audiences. So those are audiences of people who are actively interested in our products. You can see here a list of all the different in-market audience types that you can actually layer on top of your campaigns. So you can select from these listed interests to find consumers who are researching products and are actively considering buying a service or product like yours. And that means that using Google Ads, you can then target those people at the point where they're most interested in your product or service. These audiences are designed for advertisers focused on getting conversions from really, really likely buyers. And the example that I always use for these is, say, for example, you're a baby clothes manufacturer and you want to target those looking to buy baby items. You would usually layer on top of your campaigns the baby and children's products in market type, which means you're targeting people who are particularly interested in and ready to buy baby or children's products. And kind of continuing to talk about expansion and moving away from audience types, I do want to mention an update to our standard text ads. So we'll all be familiar with the standard ads that we come across in Google search every day. And this is an update to them. It's a product called a responsive search ad. So basically, responsive search ads let you create an ad that adapts to show more text and more relevant messages to your customers. Within the Google Ads interface, you basically enter multiple headlines and descriptions when creating a responsive search ad. And over time, Google Ads will automatically test different combinations and learn which combinations perform best. So it's really, again, if it all boils down to making sure that you're showing the right message at the right time to the right consumer. And when we researched and looked into the impact of responsive search ads, we actually saw that there was an up to plus 10% more clicks and conversions when used alongside your standard expanded text ads. So responsive search ads are a product format that are really, really useful if you're looking to expand to more users and reaching them at the right time. On the subject again of expansion and talking about a slightly different product type, I wanted to mention dynamic search ads. So they are a really, really easy way to find customers searching on Google for precisely what you offer. So this ad type is ideal for advertisers with a really well-developed website or a large inventory of products, say, if we're going down the route of an e-com client again. Dynamic search ads use your website content to actually target your ads and can help fill in the gaps of your keyword-based campaigns. So without dynamic search ads, even a really well-managed Google Ads account with many, many keywords can miss relevant searches. So again, the real aim of this product type, a dynamic search ad, is to target your users at the right time with the right ads and content. And it's all about using your website's content. So a really powerful tool to make sure that you're expanding again to reach more consumers. And lastly, on the subject of expansion, I think it's always really important to almost take our minds or our heads out of the Google Ads and to look at the wider world and what opportunities are available for e-com advertisers. And so I really wanted to touch on quickly a key expansion strategy that we speak to a lot of our agencies and clients about, and an important method of diversifying, which is the ability to target and deliver to international customers. So since the outbreak of COVID, we've really not only seen a shift towards more online buying, but also buying from further afield. So retailers, anyone with an e-com website should always be looking to understand market demand for their product across other geographies, not just their domestic market. For those who are already exporting, perhaps some of you are already delivering your products to different countries, and you might find you're getting a better ROAS or cheaper CPAs in certain countries. And these would be the ones that, if I was you, I'd be looking to grow my footprint in. If I'm getting more efficiencies in certain countries over others, I would be zoning in on those countries to make sure that I can capitalize on those efficiencies. I wanted to add one thing to this point here. I pulled some stats from, I believe it was a Salesforce report that said, and it's all about average order value across different countries. And one of the surprising stats that I pulled from it was that on average, the average customer in Germany actually tends to order products of a value 3 times that of UK consumers. So understanding average order size or order value or even customer lifetime value of consumers in different markets across different geographies is really important as well to building out a strong, diversified e-com strategy. And I know that looking to sizing the opportunity in different markets is something that Ignition are great at doing and could definitely help with. Okay, moving on then to one of my favorite topics, which is smart shopping. I'm going to touch on this really briefly. It's a really interesting product that was launched a couple of years back, particularly important now that we're looking towards Q4 and how we can be preparing ourselves for Black Friday and for a large retail peak. So what is smart shopping? Smart shopping campaigns basically help you to drive online sales efficiently. So they not only maximize your conversion value, but they allow you to reach new and existing customers across a variety of Google platforms. and they're really successful too in general. So on average, when we dug into our research, we saw that advertisers tend to see a 30% increase in conversion value when using smart shopping campaigns or target ROAS, the automated bid strategy that's most relevant to e-com clients for shopping campaigns. A note on this, I know that target ROAS and smart shopping campaigns are products that Ignition Search are very, very up to speed with and roll out really well. So it's great that we're talking about this now. So I suppose, how do smart shopping campaigns work? Well, essentially they use machine learning to simplify campaign management and enable you to really target and reach high value shoppers without having to invest more time and effort to do so, and without having to go into really, really granular campaign setups. So these types of automated campaigns also focus not only on reaching new customers, but also current customers. And the idea is just to maximize reach and return for your ad spend. So not only that, but they also look to find the right user. And this is really important. And I think it goes back to that point that I made earlier around right customer at the right time with the right message. This is exactly the aim of a smart shopping campaign. So whether people are searching for your product who have viewed a specific product already, whether it's a new customer with specific interests or your existing customers, there is a way that smart shopping can target all of these different type of potential customers. And ultimately what we want to avoid is relying solely on waiting for a consumer to seek out your product. That's not really where we're at anymore in the e-com landscape. We really want to be able to find customers further up the funnel and also achieve your business goals at the same time. So smart shopping campaigns are, like, ultimately the word I would use to describe them is expansive. They are available across a multitude of Google platforms. So they can reach users on search, which you'll all be familiar with, on search partners, but also on the display network, YouTube and Gmail. So it's a format that works across lots and lots of different Google platforms and slots in really nicely, I think. And crucially, smart shopping campaigns tailor their ads based on whether a potential customer has actually viewed the specific product or browsed your site. So yeah, in this example here, it's a good one. You can see that a user visits a website and views a product that they are interested in. So they're interested in these little baby items. Soon after leaving the site, and maybe not converting in this case, they actually receive an ad with many of the same products shown in them already. So this is an example of dynamic remarketing, which is showcasing these same products in them to entice basically the user back to finish purchasing. So they've shown interest in the product, they've actually viewed products, and what smart shopping can do is it can basically target the person dynamically, showing the same products that they originally viewed across different Google platforms. The key aim, again, really for this product is, as I said, right user, right time, all with the aim of aligning with whatever your business goal is. So whether it's ROAS, whether it's CPA, these are all achievable and work within the realms of a smart shopping campaign. So that's actually everything from me for now. I will pass back over to Dan.
Wonderful stuff, that. That brings us to a conclusion. As I say, if there are any questions, please fire them over on the live chat now. Both myself and Aina will be around for the next 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you for listening.